fantastic news for the state. I think it's a sign of the good job that Governor Evers is doing managing the state. And he announced today, speaking of the governor, he announced today what his plans are with that, and what he's going to do with that surplus. And true to form, as a former educator, I'm glad that he's going to be investing it into public schools. In rural Wisconsin, we've got our public school districts are just barely scraping by, and are resorting to having referendums to fund their operating expenses, which is not a great way to keep a school district alive. And throughout our area, we've seen school districts have to close schools. Also not a good sign. So seeing the governor making another historic investment in public schools and using that tax surplus to do that is fantastic news. Andy, if you've got a sec, if you want to share, you shared a link to the story on that with me earlier today. If you want to share a link in the chat to that same story, that would just be absolutely fantastic.
Yep, I'll find it and copy it in.
Cool. So I'm really excited to introduce Herb Dannenberg. Herb, I'll say a few words and then let you introduce yourself. But I met Herb by mistake, actually. I was looking for our mutual friend, Leon Redant. I was looking for his driveway, and I accidentally drove up Herb's driveway. And he pointed me in the right direction, but he was very kind to a stranger lost in the woods in the middle of nowhere. And I think I will remember that forever. And now here we are on Zoom, and I am introducing Herb as a candidate for the Juneau County Board of Supervisors. And I'm really happy for Juneau County because he got into this race. He's just a great guy. And I will give you the floor and let you introduce yourself with that.
I must say that a big part of the reason why I am running is that neighbor of mine that you mentioned. He's very persistent and very logical when it comes for him to try to persuade somebody. So he's a very good asset for whatever we want to get him to do, I'm sure. But just a little bit of my background. I moved down here with my family in 1990 from up in Schwamigan area, Lake Superior area, Washburn, Ashland, and been down here since 1990. And the reason I came down here was getting a job at Boak Field. I've been in the military, actually the Air Guard, since about 1983. And I was in the backseat of a fighter jet flying around Canada, and they took away the 2 seats, and that left me out of a job. So I ended up getting a job at the bombing range in Findlay, Wisconsin. And if none of you, or if any of you have been to Findlay, the bombing range, it's quite the show. They still have a public viewing area, and it's worth stopping by when they have airplanes and hearing the noise and seeing the stuff. But so that's what got me down in the area. We've been down here ever since. I retired out of the military. I had a civilian job for about 6 years, retired out of that. And now I'm kind of twiddling my thumbs at times and doing a honey-do list mostly. But part of the reason I wanted to get in running was because throughout the years, I've been part of many organizations, one of them being Juneau County Economic Development Corporation, that are locally motivated, locally manned to help the area. One of the other organizations I've been involved with was the JCARES, which is the Juneau County Agricultural Industrial Recreational Committee. And we're the group that finally got the fairgrounds in Mauston, Wisconsin, the fairgrounds for Juneau County, got them off dead center and made them work with the county, got funding from the county to do some land purchasing, and the fairgrounds today is unrecognizable from maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. So I've had a history of doing things like that. And the last couple of years, I haven't really had a focus like that. And I do miss it. And when Leon came around and his position opened up on the county board, I thought, well, here's a chance to get back into it. So that's why I'm running. And anybody that has any experience with a county board running, let me know and shoot me anything you can to help me along here, because I'm basically new out of doing politics. So I'd appreciate the help.
What are some of the
And unless there's any other questions, Trip.
Oh yeah,
Go
sure.
ahead.
So I'm curious, like what are some of the things that you'd like to do with your time on the board?
One of the first things I'd like to do is recognition for frontline workers, specifically, as you know, probably healthcare workers more than anybody. But I haven't seen a lot of local recognition of what they've been through the last 2.5 years. And I think the support for them is lower in Juneau County than many other places. And I'd like to just get something saying, boy, we sure appreciate you people, and get that officially coming from the county, and at least give them a little bit of a boost, morale wise and whatnot. So that's something I'm hoping is going to be widely accepted from any political spectrum you're from. And I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to put out a letter to the residents of our district here, Ledina Township, and mention that in that letter, saying I'd like to talk a little bit about them and thank them so much for what they've done. The other thing that we got kind of going on with a couple other meetings I've been involved with is the current situation with water in Wisconsin. Obviously, Wisconsin has some of the best water, if not the best water in the world. And it's being threatened on many fronts. And where I live, we have the Wisconsin River bordering Juneau County. Obviously, we have a lot of lakes and whatnot. But the thing that's kind of pressing for us and controllable more than anything is agricultural water. And then, like, one of the instances, of course, is nitrates in the water and whatnot. And since I've kind of had a history of being able to work with various groups and try to reach common solutions, I thought maybe it would be a good thing to try to figure out where the weak points are and try to bring people together to protect that groundwater that is, I guess, being threatened from a few different fronts.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Tammy, do you have a question up there? There you go.
I do have a question. Herb, hi, nice to meet you. I am Tammy Wood. I'm the field organizer for this region of Wisconsin. And if you would give me your email, I can send you some information about the candidate resources that we have for candidates. And then also you can have my contact information. I'll make sure you get my number and my email. And you can reach out to me anytime to talk about all of the good things that go into being a county supervisor candidate.
I would appreciate that. And Trip, do you have a mailing list with my email on it that you invited everybody to this meeting? Maybe you can get it off that, or.
Yep, I can.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
So Herb, do you have opposition in your race?
Yes, there's one individual. I know his name, but I don't know who he is. And I'm snooping around a little bit. This situation with COVID and everything, networking has just gone to heck in a handbag. I'm sure I'm not the only one that is experiencing that. So I haven't really had a chance to get out and mingle and talk and, talk to people and stuff. So it's kind of a unique situation with that. But so anyway, there's one person I'm running against, and we'll find out a little bit about him and take it from there.
Okay. Looks like Damien has a question. He's raised his hand here. I'm going to unmute you. There you go. Damien,
Hey,
you're clear for takeoff.
Herb, it's nice to hear that you've had a lot of experience working for things that are for the common good in your area. That's going to be really helpful for you. And says good things about you too. But here, maybe I'll put my video on, but it might hurt my sound. So if it does, I'll turn it off. The other thing, I'm really happy what you said about water. I know that it's become kind of difficult to work on that issue because my understanding is the legislature is trying to take control away from the DNR around some of that stuff and putting it in their hands. Are you familiar with that at all?
Not specifically, no, I am not.
Okay, yeah, it's something to keep an eye on because obviously the DNR has a lot of professionals who are, looking at things like water quality and trying to develop procedures. And when they do anything that some of the, well, actually, I just have mostly the Republican people in the legislature, but when they don't like what the DNR is saying, maybe because it might cost some money to remedy problems and, some of the people that support them don't like that. They say, oh, well, you can't make rulings on this. We have to make the rulings. So, and there's been some court fights about it. But it's something to keep an eye on and because it does get in the way of actually doing some environmental improvements.
One of the things I was real happy to hear is that there's a couple other members all currently on the county board, and they are facing a headwind, but they are very pro environment, especially when it comes to water and the quality of the water. So, and a couple of them are very knowledgeable about the state and some of those interactions with the state legislator. So we'll take a look at that and see what we can strategize to, overcome or mitigate that.
Herbert, are there any committees that you would that you have your heart set on for when you're elected? Committees that of the board that you like to serve on?
Everybody says the money's in the highway department, and I used to work roads and construction when I was living up north, but I don't think I really want to pursue that. And I'm so new to this that I'm not even sure how the committees work as far as number of meetings outside the normal meetings and all the, what are the requirements and how much work you have to put in. I'm such a newbie with this stuff that I'm just gonna, for a while, sit back and kind of absorb it and see what happens and take it from there.
Very good. Very good. Let's see. Do we have any? Any other questions from the group? I see one hand raised there. Oh, that's still Damien's hand. Okay. When is your election?
It's the spring election time.
Okay. Okay. And what do you have to say to folks that would want to help you get elected or would want to learn more about who you are and what you're trying to do?
I think with this current situation, And I'm hoping we'll have some time in the earlier spring to have nicer weather where people can go out. I can knock on a few doors, I can knock on doors, so to speak, and talk people one-to-one. And then the only thing I thought of so far, because of the money constraints, is that newsletter. I want to, not a newsletter, but the Here I Am type of letter at the very beginning of this thing. And I'm, one of the things I need to find out, do I put my home phone number on that, or do I put an email, a unique email, or, versus the one I use every day? Obviously, you don't want to hassle with spam and all that. But besides the email and the internet and the person-to-person type of thing, I think that should get me off to a good start.
No, that's great. It's not very pleasant to knock on doors at negative 20 degree wind chill.
Yeah, I do. Since we've been down here, we have quite a few, between Leon and I, we have a lot of connections in the township currently. And it's obviously an agricultural community. I've known a few of those families since we've been down here. So I'm going to approach them also from the get-go. And, some of them signed my paperwork to get on the ballot, and ask them what they're thinking as well as what their friends are thinking, what the needs are for the county, or what direction they would like me to go if there is a direction, who knows?
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
When you ask those questions, what have people been saying to you?
I haven't really asked those questions. I've been working a little bit with the Juneau County Democratic Organization, and went to one of their in-person meetings, and then they had a Zoom meeting last week. And I don't want to get red or blue at this point. In fact, I don't want to get red or blue until after the election, if ever. I declared myself an independent. I voted presidentially both sides of the fence in my life, so I can honestly say that. I can also honestly say that most of my priorities are probably leaning towards the Democratic side of the fence right now. But I don't want to start that fight right off the get-go before I get in the seat, so to speak.
No, well, it is a nonpartisan position, right? You don't
That's
have
correct.
to,
yes.
Yeah. So Tammy with the scare quotes. But yeah, that's good. I mean, I think we need more folks in elected office that can relate, that have voted in each direction and can relate to voters that have done the same. And that's important, to get past those labels. So I applaud you for that, and for sticking to that. That's good. Cool.
Yeah, the last thing, maybe Chip, one other thing, and you asked me before what committees I might want to be on.
Yeah.
Because of my background in the military, I got gobs of experience with emergency management. I've dealt with the command post down in Madison for the statewide emergency management for years, on and off, for various things. And so I do have a professional working knowledge of emergency management, and I'd like to probably pursue that because it's something I'm interested in, and something that kind of is very timely with the COVID and the pandemic, and all those things are kind of tied into how you handle things that can go to hell in a handbag in a hurry.
Yeah.
Besides that, I appreciate the time, you guys, and we'll be meeting you soon, I hope.
Yeah. Roundup, just hats off to you, Herb, for what you're doing and putting yourself out there. It's I know it takes commitment, and we really got to yeah, it's a big deal. So I applaud you. Hats off. And folks, something I just want to echo something that Herb said, but it's so important to remember what healthcare workers are doing for us right now and every day and tomorrow and the next day. if you have any sense of normalcy in your life, it's because those folks are holding the line. I'm really pleased that Herb is making that a centerpiece of his campaign, but don't forget to thank a healthcare worker and let them know that you're thinking about them, that you appreciate them, you're praying for them, sending good vibes their way. Because that's really important. I think that matters. They want to know that people know what they're doing. Another takeaway, that even in water issues are not limited to big industrial areas. It's a rural issue, and it's one of those. I think it's one of those topics that it bridges that urban-rural divide that I think has really split apart over the last 10 years. So whether you're talking about lead pipes in downtown Platteville or downtown Milwaukee, or nitrates in the water table in rural Juneau County, we need to pay a lot more attention to our water, because like Herb said, we've got the best water in the country. It's an incredible resource and we need to care for it. So something I'd like to end today's meeting with is something that you can do for your weekly Defend Democracy action. Something that you can do this week to put a win in the put a check mark in the win column for democracy. And that would be, if you haven't already, to go to www.myvote.wi.gov and double check that you are registered to vote, and everyone that is ineligible, that is over the age of 18 in your household, has registered to vote, and request your absentee ballot. If you requested one last year, you need to start over again this year. So make sure you get your house in order and do that basic house cleaning step, and get that voter registration confirmed, and order your absentee ballot so that you can cast your ballot that way safely and soundly, for Herb and his election, or the spring elections, wherever you may be. All right. Well, that's all I got. So we'll be, the next Stroud Crowd session will be 2 weeks from today. That'll be February 10th. If there's anyone, we will be having Gail Burchill, who is running for a county board seat in Sauk County. So very excited to have her join as a guest and introduce herself and share her platform. And then the week after that, so the 17th, we will have Becca Cook, who is running for Congress in Wisconsin's 3rd Congressional District, running to replace Ron Kime, small business owner from Eau Claire. So I'd love to introduce everybody here to her and hear what she's doing and what she has to say and why she's running. So mark your calendars. We'll see you 2 weeks from today, and hopefully the Thursday after that, the 10th and the 17th. All right, I'll hang out for a while. If anyone wants to talk to me or anything, I'll just be on here just chilling. So feel free to raise your hand. I'll take everybody off mute, and we can have a nice conversation and visit if you like. And thanks again, Herb, for joining.